Hello. In this video, we shall discuss approximation. Before I solve the question at hand, I will be very much delighted to let you know the meaning of approximation. Now, sometimes some numbers will be so boring to work with. So imagine when you are asked to multiply 8,999 by 5. You will see that this number is boring in the sense that 899 is almost 900. Okay, so you can easily multiply 900 by 5 to get 4,500. I think it's better this way. So sometimes you can have recurring decimals that are too boring to work with. You can actually put them to a value that you can easily work on. Okay, so you can now see that approximation is just a value that is nearly but not exactly the same. Like 900 is nearly 899, but they are not the same thing. They are nearly but not exactly the same, but they are almost the same thing. That is approximation for you. So you can just say that approximation is a value that is nearly but not exactly the same. Okay, in approximation, there is what we call rounding off numbers. In rounding off numbers, you can actually round up or round down. These are the two cases of rounding off. You can round down or you can round off depending on the nature of the numbers given to you. Okay, now let's say I'm giving this number 8647 for instance. And if I want this number to be rounded off at this particular point here. So if this is my target 4, the number next to this 4 is up to 5 and even more than 5. Once this happens, it means you are going to add 1 to that your target, so that we'll be having 865. Then this number turns to 0. You can see that I have approximated 8,647 to a number 8,650 by adding 1 to this particular number and turning 7 into 0. You see how possible this can be. Okay, now this is only possible if the number next to your target is up to 5 or more than 5. So in this case, we call it rounding up. So the one that involves addition of 1 is rounding up. But take a look here. If this is my target now, okay, if this is my target, you can see that the number next to my target is not up to 5. I'm having 4 here. Therefore, I'll add 0 or nothing. When that happens, it will now be 86. Every other number that is remaining will turn to 0. So you see that I've made 8,647 to be 8,600 by approximating it or by rounding it off. In this case, I added nothing. This case is known as rounding down. So you round down when the number next to your target is less than 5. That is, if you have numbers like 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0 next to your target, don't add anything. But if you have numbers greater than 4, which is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you are adding 1. Okay, in the number 1 question, we have 86439. We want to round it off to the nearest tens, hundred, and thousand. 8, 6, 4, 3, and 9. The idea is to insert unit, tens, hundred, thousand, and the tens of a thousand here. So for the nearest tens, you have not this number 3 because tens is above 3, so 3 is our target. Now the next number after this 3 is 9 and is up to 5. So you add 1 to 3, 3 turns to 4. You have your 4, you have your 6, you have your 8. Then this next number turns to 0. So this is just the answer to the nearest tens. For the nearest 100, 100 is above 4, so this is our target. And the number next to it is not up to 5, so you are adding 0. When I add 0 to 4, it will still be 4. I'll bring down 6, bring down 8. Every other number will turn to 0. This is the value to the nearest 100. Then to the nearest 1000, this is now my target for the nearest 1000, and the number next to it is not up to 5. So I'm still adding 0. When I add 0 to 6, it will still be 6. Bring down 8. Every other number turns to 0. Okay, So you see that the answer is 86,600 here to the nearest 1,000. Okay, so let's take the second one. In the second question, we have 69999. Here is unit, here is tens, here is hundred, here is thousand, and here is tens of thousand. So for the nearest tens, this is my target for tens. This is up to 5, I'll add 1. When I add 1 to 9, it becomes 10. You write 0, carry 1. Transfer that 1 to this 9. 9 plus 1 is 10. Write 0, carry 1. Transfer the 1 to this 9. 9 plus 1 is 10. You write 0, carry 1. Transfer the 1 to 6. It becomes 7. So this number turns to 0 to the nearest tens. To the nearest 100, this is my target for 100 this time around. And this number is up to 5. I'll add 1. If I add 1 to 9, it turns to 10. I'll write 0, carry 1. Transfer it here. 9 plus 1 is 10. I'll write 0, carry 1. Transfer it here. It becomes 7. Every other number turns to 0 to the nearest 100. So you can see we are getting the same result. Also, for the nearest 1,000, this is my target for 1,000 because 1,000 is above it. This is up to 5. I'll add 1 here. It turns to 10. I'll write 0, carry 1. Transfer the 1 to this 6. It becomes 7. Every other number turns to 0. This is still the answer to the nearest 1,000. Okay. So what if you're having something like 864.27 and you're asked to move this number to the nearest 100? To the nearest 100, you don't need the decimals. This is your unit, 1,000 and the 100. This is actually my 100 and that is my target because 100 is above it. I want to round it off to the nearest 100. And the number next to it is up to 5 and even more than 5. So I've got to add 1. If I add 1 to 8, 8 turns to 9. This turns to 0. This turns to 0. Put your point. This turns to 0. This turns to 0. And of course, the decimals are needless because they don't have value. Okay, so the answer can just be 900 to the nearest 100. Thank you.